From Craig Rolson in Europe, David Gerber in Brazil, and our editor-in-chief and publisher, Don Oshman, it's time for this week's Sunday Night Week in Review.
Welcome to another edition of the Sunday Night Market Report Week in Review, brought to you by HydeNet Publications. My name is Don Oshman, editor-in-chief and publisher of HydeNet Reports. And here's a brief summary of what happened this week in the areas we regularly cover. Craig Rolson, our European editor, reports that it was quiet, but there were still some selections under a little bit of pressure this week. But again, everybody's in a holiday mode. The Italians are preparing to shut down for at least 2 weeks, and the producers of hides in Europe know what's going on. One of the striking things that's continued upon European hide producers is a lack of Chinese demand, and still the market really hasn't gotten weak without the Chinese, which shows you that the sellers are in pretty good shape and don't have to push sales. We did find out that the sheep and lamb market is under some pressure, though. That's due probably to some main Chinese buyers or other buyers in the world. North German ox 49 kilos sold at between euro 225 and 230 delivered in Italy. Reports also from Italy, Craig found, was that the split prices are softer, but conversely, we didn't find any of that in the U.S. So different strokes for different folks, maybe. In the United States, this week, the market drifted lower. We put up our infamous picture of a bear ringing a bell. In other words, nobody rings a bell at the top. We think the U.S. market is topped. Volume this week was moderate. One of the great things that the United States Hide, Skin, and Leather Association did was to put out a video, which you can find on the U.S. HSLA website or on HydeNet's website at www.hydenet.com, which shows how the American industry handles its hides. It's an excellent video, which we suggest everyone to watch. Meanwhile, back to the market, exports for the 4th week in a row, USDA export numbers were below slaughter, and that's slaughter that was below normal because of the Thanksgiving holiday when the packers did not produce hides for 1 day of the week. The combined outstanding sales were down 7%. The combined shipments, wet blue and wet salted hides, were down 9%. And as I said, slaughter exceeded sales, and shipments exceeded both combined slaughter, raw, wet salt, and wet blue hides, as well as slaughter. This week's report also contains a very interesting report on all the meat packers in the United States, the Cattle Buyers Weekly Annual Review, which is very interesting. And we talk about our forecast, what we think is going to happen in the next week and the next several weeks. A great feature of all of our reports are a forecast of what's going to happen. So we highly recommend that you subscribe to HydeNet and see what goes on. Because if you get enough information from HydeNet reports, plus what you know yourself and the people you talk to yourself, the cost of a subscription is nothing if it helps you make a profitable trade, just one profitable trade. So you can imagine for 12 months of information. In Latin America this week, David Holes talks about demand is pretty good for crust, at least, and some finished leathers. And there's a lot of resistance to the asking prices of $1.75 for a TR1 CNF. It's got to be an awfully good production, and there's not a lot of great demand for that. Big deal for that market, and in Argentina as well, is that the fresh hide market is stabilized. Tanners are done apparently falling all over themselves to pay whatever it would take to buy fresh hides from the abattoirs in Brazil and in Argentina as well. Also, we have a story about Brazilian leather exports hitting record highs. A lot of that has to do with the currency and in dollars, maybe not in units, but they do produce more hides than anybody else, so it's not surprising. Also, very interesting that Brazilian government was giving 3% export credits to their exporters, and that's going to die on December 31st, so it's unknown what's going to happen. Also, David reported this week from Brazil that, and other countries in Latin America, that more and more new buyers are coming to Latin America as finding alternatives for the incredibly high-priced North American and European crust, finished leather, and of course even wet blue. That's what we've got going on. I can tell you that in Argentina, upholstery crust was about $1.60 for a TR1 grade, and the prices in Argentina and Uruguay are basically steady. This week in leather has information too numerous to mention because I don't want to take all of your time, and I know that everybody's attention span is limited, even though we have great content to give you. But that This Week in Leather is crammed full of information that can help your business and give you a good background. All you have to do is go to www.hidenet.com. You can sign up for a free trial. You can see samples of old reports, previous reports, and make your own decision. And that's why readers in over 50 countries rely on HideNet reports every single week to run their companies. Thanks for watching. Look forward to talking to you again next week. Another edition of the Sunday Night Week in Review, except this week it's on Monday.